Hi, it's me, the autistic Gen X software dev with anxiety and depression, but some call me Tim. And today I wanted to tell you the story about learning to drive. But before I get going, if you would please like the video, share the video, comment, do all the things. There are definitely some kids out there who are going to have to learn to drive soon, and this might make them feel a little better about what happens to them. Before we get to the story, I want to tell you another story. My best friend in high school, his sister, during her driver's test, she failed because she ran into she ran into an ambulance. So you can't really fail worse than that. So going into the actual test, I was like, I don't think I can ever mess up as badly as his sister did. So I guess I'm fine. But by that time, I had already learned to drive. But the learning to drive was hard. So I grew up riding motorcycles. And so that was just what I did. I knew brake over here and the clutch and the shift with your foot and, all these things. None of that translates to a car whatsoever. On the bike, you're in the middle of the machine. In a car, you're over on the side. And shifting was weird. Everything was weird. So I went out and my mom took me out to try and teach me to drive one time, never again. I had this red Toyota truck. It was a beater. And so it was like, yeah, if something happens or whatever, nobody cares. At least for that car. But we're driving and my mom says, turn here. And so I just turned. I think I was probably going like 35 and I just turned and the car did like a Tokyo drift. And there was a guy on the house on the corner mowing his lawn. And he dove out of the way. Mom was like, fucking stop the car. No, get out. And so then she drove home and was like, I cannot teach this kid to drive ever again. So they sent me to driving school and so that was okay. But still, I really didn't know how to drive. And so they got their friend Glenn to teach me. Glenn said, I can teach you. We went out for 2 times. The first time, we just stayed in town. And I cut somebody off. We're going up this hill. I cut somebody off. They honked. I probably almost hit them, right? They got very mad and they pulled up to the side of us and started yelling at me. And Glenn, this guy's, he's like in his 30s. He reaches under the seat and he pulls out this giant gun and he leans over me while I'm driving and taps the gun on the window at the guy and is like, you want to go? Let's go. Okay, so now I'm terrified for many reasons. But it was the second time that he taught me to drive. That was a life-changing experience. We're in Southern California. He and I go to see a Dodgers game. And when we're done, I'm backing out and I hit the car next to me because I start turning immediately. And I go forward and he's like, fuck it, just go. So I did a hit and run. I'm probably going to hell for that. And he was like, well, it's on a dirt parking lot, so there's no law. I'm like, I still hurt. No, he's like, nope, we just went. So, okay, dumbass kid. So sorry, whoever that was, or I damaged your car. Then we went to a pizza place. I think it was like a Pizza Hut or one. You go in and the man ordered a pitcher of beer and he drank the whole pitcher of beer. He didn't even use a cup, man. He just took that big plastic pitcher and drank it while he ate his pizza. And he was like, all right, gave me the keys. He's like, I am drunk, really drunk. I can't drive home. You got to do it. Now, this is like on a Saturday night in freaking Los Angeles freeway traffic. he was just like, well, look, man, if you can get us home, you can drive anywhere. And he wasn't wrong, but oh my God, the fear, the stress. This poor little kid in this, he had a bigger truck too. And so it wasn't a little vehicle. And it's just like, I'm in traffic and then stop and go. And then I got to try and merge. And then, it's the 80s. I got no GPS. I got no cell phone. I got no nothing. If something happens, we're just stranded. It was very, very stressful. But I'll tell you, it did work because after that, seriously, what could I tell myself? I'm like, dude, I'd survived downtown LA on a Saturday night. I'm invincible is pretty much how I felt. And then I learned to drive. After that, I went out and it was fine. And I actually ended up getting a motorcycle as my first car. And I just rode that to school. And it was cool. Eventually I had to get a car. I sold the motorcycle to get a keyboard because I wanted to play piano, which ended up being a good idea. I got a little Volkswagen Bug, and that car, it was like a 72 Beetle. It was this disgusting purple color. And at the top side was a stripe of lime green. That was where I tried to wash it, and the paint was just started coming off. So I stopped. So there's this like green streak for no reason on the car. And people would joke that they could hear me coming a mile away because it was just, it was so loud. It had a heater like down by the side by the brake. It had this little lever you would pull up and vent engine exhaust into the car. Like that was the heater. It was no heat or hell. Pick one. There was no air, no power steering, no power windows, nothing. The car was so small, like when you shut the door, you hit your shoulder. And so you had to roll the window down and put your arm out the window so you could like drive normal, because otherwise you're like, this is really uncomfortable. And I'm a tiny guy, man. They made this car for nobody. The back seat didn't even have seat belts. This is the world I was living in. And I had to learn to drive in this, and, there was no GPS and there was no one to help you if you got stranded. And it was a very stressful time for me. So, if you're thinking, I got to learn to drive, this is going to suck. Dude, no. You have GPS. You have a cell phone if you get in trouble. You can push the car to the side and call an Uber. It's probably an automatic. And, I just think you're going to have a lot easier time than I did. So do with that as you will. Thanks for tuning in for this, really silly story about stuff that happened to me, and maybe you understand a little more why I'm the way I am. So until next time, peace.